I wanted to make a quick video to show you how easy it is to use a simple image slider as a full screen image presentation, similar to what you get with the superhero slider. The reason that I prefer doing it this way over the superhero slider is that when you're using the superhero slider, when you go to add a new image, for instance, images are added one at a time. You only have the ability to set your page position or your image position globally, not for each individual image, depending on where the primary subject matter is. So there's certain limitations and usages that superhero slider I just find to be a pain in the butt, quite frankly. If I want to change out images or move them in a specific order, it's very hard to see what images you're working with it without selecting the image, scrolling back up, seeing what the image is, going back down, moving the image, and then doing that if you've got 15 or 20 images in the slideshow can be really, really painful to do. So I want to show you how easy it is to use a simple image slider and make it full screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this page and I'm just going to duplicate it to save a little bit of time. And we'll call this a full screen slider. And we'll create a new page. So now that we've got the full screen slider in there, I'm going to add a row above this. And I'm going to actually delete the superhero row. So now we just have a regular row. And I'm going to go into my widgets. I'm going to take a simple image slider and I'm going to place it on that row. We'll delete the images that are in there and we'll add a few of our own. And I'm going to pick some images that have the subject matter more in the center of the screen. We'll just pick a few. And then I'm going to make sure that I select the images and I make sure that they're going to be shown from the top down. Now, as you can see, you can have the captions available if you want to. In this particular case, I don't, so it's very easy to turn that off. Just go over and turn off the captions. So I don't need a title, don't need a description, don't need a button. And I just turn those off on the images individually. So now we've got our images. We want this to be full screen, so we need to make sure that we go to our row, go into Edit Design, and make sure that it's a full bleed row so that it goes the full width. And since we need to make a simple change to the CSS styling, I'm going to go up to the code, Access, enter into the CSS or the full code area, and I'm going to make sure that I select the desktop tablet CSS file. And I'm just going to paste in this simple block of code. Now there's two lines of code that I'm using here. The first line that's commented out currently, that line will give you a full screen presentation and it will also allow you to enter a numerical value for your header height. So it'll make an adjustment based upon the screen height and then it will automatically calculate and subtract the number of pixels that the header would take, for instance. So since we want this to be a full screen, I'm going to just remove the two comment pieces here just to make that line of code active. And I know that my header is about 100 pixels. So I'm going to make my offset 100 pixels to allow for my header area. And that's it. I'm simply going to click Save and then Close. Now there's a few more little things that we need to do here. The editor itself, with a code editor, it does some crazy things with the CSS sometime in your code. So what I usually do is I go to my pages area and I go off of the page that I've created. Just go to another page and then go back again. And you'll see that now it's positioned that image down where it's supposed to. That row is now starting where it should. While I'm in here, I don't need this on my menu, so I'm going to hide it in all navigation since we're only using this for demonstration purposes. And you need to go into the row and just make sure that you remove all of the spacing around your image. So we don't need this 30 pixel block here. So we can just make that 0, make that 0, so that it's all the way around. And we now have turned that simple image slider into a full screen image minus the height of my header. And if I scroll, there's my additional content. And on the tablet version, it's doing the exact same thing. Goes to the bottom of the full screen on my tablet and then displays the content below. So on the tablet and the desktop, we've turned that simple image slider into a full screen image just by adding a single line of CSS, basically. Now, if I go to my mobile version, you'll still see that it's just a regular slideshow still. We need to go into the code, go to the mobile version of the CSS, and currently there isn't any, and I'm going to paste that same block of code in. And if I wanted it to be full screen, I can use the first line of code. I work with a lot of photographers that use landscaped imaging on their slideshows. And they don't like that in a portrait orientation, the landscaped images get cut off on the left and the right side. So they want to make sure that the full image is being displayed properly. So the second line actually allows me to accomplish this on a mobile phone by automatically calculating the width of the screen, dividing it by 1.7777, which makes it a perfect 16:9 aspect ratio. So depending on what I want it to do on a mobile device, that'll determine which line of code that I choose to use. We're going to use the full screen. So just remove those couple of characters that make that a comment. And we're going to save and close. See how it's positioned down a little bit, etc.? Go into the pages. Don't ask me why the editor does this. Go off the page, go back on the page, go into your row, edit design, and make all of your spacing 0. Once you've done that, you now have a full screen image on the mobile device, and if I scroll, there's my additional content. Now, just to show you what the other block of code will do, let me go into the code editor, go back to the mobile version of the site, and I'm going to paste those 2 lines in again, only this time I'm going to use the 16:9 aspect ratio code. Save it, close. See how our head's getting cut off? Go to your pages, go to a different page and back again. I wish the editor wouldn't do that. But now the slideshow is a perfect landscape 16:9 aspect ratio image. Now on my particular page design, I do have a little bit of a left and a right side border. I've done that on purpose within my website, so that's why it's not going edge to edge. But if you didn't have that custom code like I do to create a little border on the left and right side, it would go edge to edge on your screen. And if I go to the desktop version, I still have my full screen slideshow. So that's it. That's how easy it is to do a full screen presentation using the regular image slider.